Religion is a subjective term with a very blurry definition and a contested definition. E.B. Taylor had a minimalist definition of religion as the belief in supernatural beings. However, Emile Durkheim defines religion as a form of customs that socializes individuals into a larger community and provides those individuals with rules to live by. Next, we talked about the sacred and the profane according to Alade. Alade maintains that the sacred can manifest itself in an object that is part of the profane world but remains distinct from those objects in the perception of the religious. Field of Dreams deals with the idea of the axis mundi, or where a place on earth connects to heaven and or religion. It connects the supernatural with mundane, profane objects, exemplifying the paradox of the sacred transforming a profane object into something else even as it continues to remain itself. Next, we talked about myths. Professor Leeming says myths are primarily stories that reflect particular cultures and human culture and are often considered sacred. We make stories of our own imagination and life itself and use them as the fundamental verbalization of complex realities. We discussed how The Life of Pi connects these concepts. The novel is essentially a story of telling a story and describes how humans can use stories to cope with hard times in their lives. Next, we talked about Gerard and the interrelationship between violence and religion in the film The Dark Knight. A scapegoat is an arbitrary object that can be a person, a group, or an object that is blamed through acts of violence. The Dark Knight follows Gerard's argument and demonstrates Batman as the scapegoat in Gotham. Next, we talked about Marx's conflict theory and explored how societal struggles over power drive change. This is apparent in A Handmaid's Tale, as a Galadian society controls production and exploits the bourgeoisie for the profit of the capitalist. Next, we looked at apocalyptic and how this relates to the dystopian society in the novel The Road. Apocalyptic transformations tend to be violent, which is apparent in the novel The Road, as a father and son journey from their current home to a warmer climate in hopes of a better life. Along the way, they encounter violence and perform acts of violence themselves in order to survive. Last, we looked at events in history and how they can be considered sacred by the way they impact history and help shape popular culture, reform, and the media.